Now, Audi's Q family of cars are the most popular SUVs in the country today. People primarily use them to ferry themselves to parties and back, or to office and back. Nobody really uses these SUVs to go through ditches like this, or takes them to places where they get dusty, dirty, scratched, or well, takes them to places where they might bash rocks like this. But we have come to Jaipur, where Audi has set up this specific course to show what the Q family of cars is capable of doing. And you know what? They're really capable of a lot more than soft tarmac work. Take a look. Now, how many people would treat their shiny, expensive Audi SUVs like this? Well, those who do will know how much fun this is. As you can see, the Q5 and Q7 are really quite at home in the desert. They scamper up dunes, slide back down, blast over soft sand, and generally kick up a storm with ease. Now, it sure was tricky. The loose sand makes it particularly difficult to keep speeds up and to keep the vehicle pointed in the direction you want to go. Muscling the steering wheel or mashing the throttle won't help, but a few simple driving techniques make the desert drive a lot simpler. A drive through the practice course set me straight. Deep alternating ditches and some side inclines in the soft golden sand were first at hand. After the ESP was set to a special off-road mode and ground clearance increased using the lift mode, we were set. Mark Allison from Audi's driving experience was dispensing valuable know-how on making the best use of the hardware.
So hand position very important here, into the box, nice and slow on the way in. So nice and smooth, nice and slow. Slow, slow, slow. So always when we get into a situation like that, we're going to go and dig into a hole or something, nice and slow on the way in. Manage the speed, that's it. Nice smooth braking. Try not to get the car to bounce, so nice and smooth. There we go, so in, let it roll forward, nice and smooth, smooth gas. Smooth gas on the way in, just keep it going nice and smooth. That's it, just as much as you need.
Smooth throttle and gentle use of the brakes had us through the ditches. The side incline was freaky. The big Q7 tilted heavily. But there was no cause for concern as we sailed right through it. Then we got to the fun stuff, a slalom. Now the typical boy racer inputs like flooring the throttle and hustling the steering wheel aren't going to help here. Quite the opposite.
Minimum amount of steering I can use. If I use too much steering, the wheels dig in. Smooth, less steering, perfect. Keep the power on, unwind the steering. That's it, brilliant.
Still, sometimes you need to turn the steering quickly to set things straight. But there's no point going hard on the gas.
Too much, if I get too much throttle on, what's going to happen? I start digging in. If you manage the gas nicely, you get quite a good acceleration even on thick sand like this.
For clambering up hills, the flat-out approach is of no good either. Sure, at first you do need to build speed, but once you start climbing, the throttle inputs need to be measured to avoid wheel spin.
Okay, we're going to climb the hill here now. Remember again, less is more, so just the right amount of gas to go up there. There's not a lot of traction there, but I don't want to start the wheels spinning, so just nice constant gas all the way up here.
Of course, the hardware was also doing its best to keep us going.
And you can feel that clunk, clunk, clunk. That's your EDL coming in there. Every time the wheel wants to spin, brake grabs the wheel, stops the wheel, so I can transfer drive to the other wheels.
Going downhill though is nerve-wracking. I felt that the Q would just tip over and roll all the way down.
Go over the edge.
Drop off. Now you can see it. Yeah, now you can see it. It's scary.
To avoid anything unfortunate, we were being quite cautious, with special attention to the accelerator and steering wheel inputs.
So on the way in, slowly into the descent. So I've got the speed already on my side. If I've got too much speed on the way over, then you can start running away. So smooth, smooth, smooth speed on the way in, nice and constant. As soon as you get to the stage where we're in the descent, get the wheels straight.
To keep the wheels from digging in and causing any complications, you need to straighten up the steering wheel as soon as possible and then crawl down the hill.
Very important to know where your wheels are.
Then to up the stakes further, Mark took us for a trek. Now, I don't know if you can make out how steep this hill is on the screen, but I'm almost all the way up and the queue starting his climb. And just to show you how steep this is, to run up it takes a lot of effort. It's very slippery but you see that, that's a 2-ton SUV clambering its way over. Do not try this at home, that's for sure. It was incredible. The 2-ton SUV gingerly used its huge amount of torque reserves to make its way up the hill. All 4 tires gently but surely found traction, that too despite being the regular street variety. Going down wasn't easy either. Smooth throttle, steering and brake inputs once again helped us through. And then there was one last blast. Now what we are doing here is having a race on this riverbed here, which is filled with this soft powdery sand, and our weapon of choice is that. The Audi Q5, the fastest guy around in a couple of loops, is the winner. It was a simple 2-lap run down the riverbed with 2 U-turns thrown in, but it was fun. We were whizzing down at over 100 kilometers an hour over the soft sand, and then we had to throw the big SUV into a U-turn. It needed smooth steering inputs. And at the end of the day, the driver with the most smooth driving style is always the quickest. Which, by the way, wasn't me. Well, I'm sure this has been an eye-opener for you, because it's surely been one for me, as to how well these cars can take care of things like this without batting an eyelid. They just make it seem so effortless. And on top of that, of course, they do the usual ferrying around. But now you know that if you want, you can get your Q car to do this whenever you want without really worrying about a thing. Quite an eye-opener.